Hello! You might have heard that Hulk Hogan died and the ghost of the Iron Sheik has a soul in a camel clutch for the rest of all time. I've been sitting on this list for a while and was woken up to the news, so I thought, hell, let's pull the trigger on it. Even if you're not into professional wrestling, you probably know who Hulk Hogan is. He pierced the veil from pro wrestling and broke into wider pop culture. Like, he's in movies, he had a restaurant called Pastamania. He had a lot of goodwill. A lot of that goodwill has since been massively burned in the last decade. To be blunt, his last public appearance for the WWE led to him basically getting booed out of the building, and sure, he might have been a weird sex pervert who started dating a woman that looked suspiciously like his daughter right after his divorce, and sure, he might have been an insane racist. What, don't believe me? Here's a tweet from wrestling journalist Sean Ross Sapp. Yeah, he did that, and sure, he might have been a terrible wrestler. Don't boo me, I'm right, and you know it. He was not a great wrestler. He was great at hyping up a crowd, but in the ring, terrible. And I'm going to put that aside. His legacy has shaped professional wrestling as we know it. I will give him his flowers for that. After all, he was the first person to ever body slam the 900-pound Andre the Giant in front of 30 bajillion screaming Hulkamaniacs at the Pontiac Superdome, brother. He kept calling it Superdome. Later in life, it's the Pontiac Silverdome. He constantly exaggerated that particular incident, mostly making up progressively larger numbers of fans in attendance, and other weird stuff, like claiming he tore every single muscle in his back and both of his biceps doing it. My favorite embellishment to this story was when he dropped on an episode of MTV Cribs where he claimed that Andre the Giant died a few days after WrestleMania 3 and getting body slammed by him. Unfortunately, WrestleMania 3 was on March 29, 1987. Andre the Giant died on the 28th of January 1993. Genuinely, I think Hulk Hogan's best skill was lying. He was so good at it. He would say something with 100% conviction, and you would sit there and go, you know what, brother, that's true. Part of what I want to do with my videos is to leave you with a vague sense of unease, having learned things that you shouldn't be expected to, like some kind of Lovecraftian knowledge, except it's about weirdos. So before we get started, I will not be talking about Hulk Hogan meat shoes today. I'm just bringing up its existence to confuse and scare some of you. What I have here for this video is a non-exhaustive list of Hulk Hogan's best lies. I'm stressing non-exhaustive because as long as Hulk Hogan was talking, he was likely lying. That's how bad it is. The first one I'm going to talk about is the time he said Elvis Presley was a Hulkamaniac. He claimed that Elvis would come to Memphis to watch Hulk Hogan wrestle. Elvis was a known wrestling fan. He died at Graceland on the 16th of August 1977. Checking Cage Match, and Cage Match is a website basically run by baseball stat nerds, but they got really into wrestling instead. Their records have Hulk Hogan making his wrestling debut under the persona of the Super Destroyer on the 9th of August 1977 at John Carroll High School in Fort Pierce, Florida. I'm not saying Elvis couldn't be a huge CWF NWA guy, specifically for like Florida, but I don't think he managed to get there before he died. Just the thought, really. His other one, another story, he claimed he partied with John Belushi after WrestleMania 2 in 1986. The problem with that being John Belushi died in 1982. I don't think dates are the Hulkster's strong suit. Another one is, if you're not an old school MMA head, then you might not have heard of a company called Pride FC or the Pride Fighting Championships. Back when MMA was getting really popular, he was on a radio show called The Boomer and Carton Show, and he was asked, hey Hulkster, what do you think of MMA? He actually claimed he had some MMA experience, specifically in the year of 1977, where he had a match in Pride FC. The problem with that is Pride FC's inaugural event was held at the Tokyo Dome on October 11th, 1997. The man just loves lying. I don't know what to tell you. There is one that makes me sit there and go, oh brother, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's the Summerslam 1992 anecdote. It's one of his grossest lies, in my opinion. He was claiming that he was at Summerslam 92 at Wembley, looked out into the crowd and saw an empty seat which he had reserved for a Make-A-Wish kid that he'd invited to the show. Quite heartbreaking, isn't it? Like, pro wrestlers do a lot of Make-A-Wish visits and things, and under no circumstances do you have to hand it to the Hulkster, but I'm touched. I'm touched that he would go out of his way to give this child access to SummerSlam in Wembley. He even, because this kid died and couldn't make it, he memorialized him in a song and included the line, "I guess there'll be an empty seat when I wrestle at Wembley." I'm going to say this word again. Unfortunately, he wasn't on the SummerSlam 1992 card and never wrestled at Wembley until he joined WCW. So another one to the list, I guess, and it's kind of gross because he's using a dead child for clout. Speaking of music, the Hulkster wasn't bad at bass guitar. In fact, he was pretty fucking good. He was quoted as saying the following: "I used to be a session musician before I was a wrestler. I played bass guitar. I was big pals with Lars Ulrich, and he asked me if I wanted to play bass with Metallica in the early days, but it didn't work out." Okay. And say what you will about Howard Stern, but he asked Lars about this, and Lars said he'd never met the guy once. Like, just a fascinating mind. There's a lot of celebrities just outright saying he's a liar and sucks, by the way. So you remember the movie The Wrestler? Great movie. Mickey Rourke got a Golden Globe and Oscar nomination for playing Randy the Ram Robinson, and you might be asking, MLYP, how does this involve Hogan? Well, Hogan's gone on record saying he was initially considered to play the main character, but turned it down. Darren Aronofsky, the director of the film, tweeted, "For the record, the role of the wrestler was always Mickey Rourke. It was never Hulk Hogan's, as he claims on Howard Stern." So, add another one to the bucket, I guess. Look, like I said, a lot of lies. So many lies, I'm actually going to do a rapid fire round real quick. He has claimed that Mike Tyson was too scared to work with him in WCW. This was in, the 90s, by the way, so this was Mike Tyson that could send you to another dimension with a punch. He claimed he was scouted out of high school by the Yankees and the Cincinnati Reds, but an injury prevented him from pursuing that career. He claims to have been offered the idea for the George Foreman grill first, but his agent turned it down. He's also said he never took steroids, it was just vitamins and prayers. And in court, under oath, he has claimed that Hulk Hogan, the wrestler, had an 8-inch penis, but Terry Bollea, who is the guy playing Hulk Hogan, has a 6-inch penis. Under oath, he claimed that. A powerful mind, to say the least. Like, so powerful that Hulk Hogan could functionally travel through time. This is from one of his many autobiographies, and they're all pretty mid. This one's called My Life Outside the Ring. He claimed that he was wrestling 400 days a year due to his frequent travel between the US and Japan. He stated that the time zone differences, particularly when crossing the international date line, allowed him to add days to his year. Obviously, that's not supported by how the flow of time works. Crossing the international date line can lead to a day being skipped or repeated, depending on the direction of travel, but that's not how time works. This was all from the 1980s when he was working in Japan, before Hulkamania really blew up, but while he was there, he had a feud with Antonio Inoki. Antonio Inoki is a similarly insane guy, and I wish I had the time to talk about Antonio Inoki. I might do another video on him later. Somehow, on the same level of insane as Hulk Hogan, but Hulk claims that he almost killed Inoki in a match, just beat the brakes off of him, so badly that he was declared dead and was brought back to life via CPR. This, understandably, made the Yakuza very mad, and as a result, Hogan claimed he couldn't work in Japan for a few years. The problem is, and we're going to go back to cage match again, Hogan returned not 6 months later in Japan in a tag match with Inoki. Just a strange guy, really. I'm going to leave you with my favorite Hulk Hogan tweet of all time. I think that's the best way to cap off this video. Goodnight, Hulkamaniacs and jabroni marks without a life that don't know where to work when you work a work and work yourself into a shoot, marks.
Walk into the bank with some shit in your pants, 'cause you had too many crystals and you somehow tried to dance. Walk up to the teller with an awkward grin on your face. Hand over the shitty check to him, and it's time to get paid. But he says he can't cash it, 'cause it's covered in shit. There's no way to sign it. And it's not even legible.